want me to tell you the story of my life, I'll tell you my story. I'll tell you all of it.
Before there was the boogeyman, the stuff of nightmares was the vampire. In the first vampire silent film, Nosferatu, we are introduced to the Count Dracula, who makes things more awkward than he really has to, by slamming to the man beside him. Is this your wife? What a lovely throat.
The vampires that were written about in the 19th century, Dracula and Carmilla, the principal big vampire characters, they were objects of horror and revulsion, but the authors who wrote about them also made them very mysterious and very glamorous. And the novel and the short story Carmilla, the novel Dracula and the short story Carmilla, are really obsessed with the mystery of those characters. So it's not surprising to me that as we went into the 20th, we began to explore that mystery.
Exactly where the vampiric myth comes from is a mystery, but the story of Count Dracula is not. In Romania, there was a Prince Vlad Dracul the Impaler, who was known throughout his kingdom and all the far-reaching lands as the most vicious prince and ruler that the country had ever seen. If anyone had crossed him, he chose to impale his enemies through the chest with a stake, thus landing him the title as the Impaler. Throughout his life, he would fall in love with a woman who, once she found out the truth, went insane and killed herself. And it's said that to this day, the two of them walk the earth together as immortal ghosts. This character is what gave Bram Stoker his inspiration for Dracula. Queen of the Damned, written by critically acclaimed author Anne Rice, captures the eyes and thoughts of millions and reiterates the sex appeal of vampires.
Come out, wherever you are.
We are the powerful. We should walk fearless in the open. Out wherever you are.
It was a Serbian peasant called Arnold Pol who became the first man to be accused of being a real-life vampire. He was the first of many to be named and shamed in the most famous vampire epidemic in history.
So the origins of vampire folklore come from Eastern Europe around the early 18th century. One of the first big vampire stories coming out of the region is of Arnold Powell, who's a villager in Serbia. He falls off a hay cart one day, breaks his neck, dies, and is buried. Shortly after he dies, there's a spate of people saying they've seen him at night, and he's appeared, and he's tried to throttle them or attack them.
Within weeks of Arnold's death, there were 17 bloody corpses strewn around the village. This provoked the kind of hysteria that we might nowadays attribute to a serial killer. Probably the simple cause was a disease such as the plague or E. coli, but to the villagers and the government officials sent to investigate, there could only be one answer: vampires.
Here occurred the frightening and shocking history of Prince Dracula and the woman he loved.
Dracula, one of the first vampire novels to hit bookstores, written by Bram Stoker. Stoker would take the vampire and make him from a monster to a monster who can be kind and loving, one who is lonely throughout his life and just searching for his one true love who left him in the life before. He took the vampire from a murderer and made him compassionate and almost your favorite enemy.
Vampires do exist. This one we fight, this one we face, can take on many forms. He is both young and old. He can appear as mist, as vapor, as the fog. And he can vanish at will. The power of his evil desire has no end.
Join me in eternal life. Your salvation.
So,